NXT hosted its second edition of In Your House last night, bringing us 5 incredible matchups. Alongside a brutal grudge match, 4 NXT championships were defended in 3 different matches. Bronson Reed and MSK took on Legado del Fantasma. Obviously there was the 5-way for the NXT championship and the NXT women's title was on the line, so let's get straight into it. We started things off with MSK and Bronson Reed versus Legado del Fantasma. Wesley and Mel Mendoza kicked off the first match of the night. The two seemed evenly matched, both landing on their feet after heavy scissor matchups. Wacky Wild stepped up to the NXT Tag Team Champion, sending Carter across the ring with an arm drag. Carter then wafted a kick and was stunned by a jawbreaker. When Reed tagged in, Escobar was sent in and Mendoza went after him. None of the Legado del Fantasma wanted anything to do with Reed for good reason. Mendoza threw a few strikes at Reed, but the champion shrugged them all off and hit a lariat. Escobar then came in and went for a slam, which wasn't the wisest choice. Reed fell on top of Escobar, forcing Wild to run in. Reed tossed into MSK, who hit a series of a springboard for a 2 count. Reed then got in, found hitting a 3-man tandem move. Nash Carter couldn't stop Wild from tagging out, and he was rocked to the floor. Lee then followed up, hitting Wild with a big move before the Colossal One refused to be left out of this, hitting a suicide dive on all 5 men. Back inside the ring, Legado prevented MSK from teaming up on Santos. Escobar then brought Lee to the top for a Super Frankensteiner, following up a bow and a bow and arrow on the champions. Legado del Fantasma kept Lee away from his corner, slowing things down, but when Bronson Reed got in, he derailed all the momentum Fantasma had built up. Legado crushed Wild and Mendoza in the corner before hitting a stacked up Samoan drop. Escobar distracted the rest, allowing them to get Reed down. Wild and Carter were in next, and Carter rocked his opponent with a flash knee strike. Legado hit their flying knee leg sweep combination to get control. Escobar went to take the North American title, but was driven through the barricade by Reed. MSK took care of the rest and planted Mendoza with a blockbuster sash spine buster, and Reed hit a tsunami to grab the win. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Really enjoyed this, and Bronson Reed looked like a friggin' star. That was Martinez versus Lee. The NXT grab match opened with Lee taking Martinez straight to the floor, targeting her midsection. Martinez then rolled back inside and launched Lee sky high with a back body drop and dumped her on her head with an exploded suplex. Lee managed to catch Martinez on the ropes with some body submission, further wearing down the ribs. After tossing her opponent into the ring post, Lee stretched Martinez, pulling her into the post. Martinez managed to avoid a roundhouse, ducking away from the post and sending Lee's shin right into the steel. With that, Martinez began to pick up some steam. A delayed butterfly suplex tossed Lee into the corner, but Martinez missed a splash attempt. Lee hit an exploder of her own, but she was launched straight into the turnbuckle. Martinez then planted Lee with an incredible cliffhanger, but couldn't get the win. A jumping knee turned Lee outside out, and Boa tried to distract Martinez, but she was too smart for that, tossing Lee outwards with another backdrop. Back in the ring, Lee avoided the air raid crash and hammered Martinez with a cyclone kick, securing her the win. And then after the match, Boa tossed Lee a chair, but Martinez kicked Lee out. She grabbed the chair and battered both of them in front of NXT. Maya Yang stood tall to confront Martinez. Martinez refused to back down and still had the chair in her hand. Jim grabbed the shot by the throat and shouldered off a chair shot and tossed Martinez into the barricade. Tian Sha stood tall. I'm going to 6 out of 10. The match was decent enough, and Xia Li winning was the right result. But to be honest, I'm just kind of getting a bit wary of this storyline, to be honest. I hope it's over. Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa were upset that they weren't holding the NXT Tag Team titles yet. At NXT this week, they promised to tear apart the GYV. Before we got Grimes versus Knight, the NXT crowd was split down the middle. LA Knight dropped Cameron Grimes with a shoulder block, but Grimes responded with a leg trip as Kiss My Grits taunt, which got the crowd chanting Kiss His Grits. Folks, if you can get a crowd to chant that, you've made it. Grimes then rocked Knight with a clothesline and began to build steam off. A Hurricane Rana sent Knight to the floor. A little too much taunting cost Grimes control though, as Knight decapitated him with a clothesline of his own. With Grimes dumped to the floor, Knight brought in a ladder, and Grimes came in with a ladder himself, leading to a ladder joust. Grimes lost his but dunked with a fatal blow and sent Knight to the outside. Looking to dish out some more damage, Grimes was knocked out off the apron by Knight, who slung a ladder and bragged about his work to DiBiase while he was sitting at ringside. Knight then launched Grimes straight into the wall that had been broken by Reed earlier that night. Somehow Grimes was able to recover and nearly sent a ladder to his opponents. Knight jumped out and did well to avoid it before NXT's resident trash talker set up a ladder and tossed Grimes face first into it. When he set up a ladder perpendicular to the top rope, he aimed to finish Grimes off, but Grimes instead managed to get in control and launched Knight onto another good ladder before going for the gold ladder. After setting it up, Grimes was halfway up before he was launched off the ladder by Knight. Knight fell to forward, hid from Grimes by getting DiBiase security. Knight tossed Grimes into a ladder while Grimes climbed up, then into the tropes, which Grimes again climbed. All that was setting up the ladder. Knight rushed into one last powerbomb off the right. Grimes countered with a Hurricane Rana and rushed the ladder once more. Just as Grimes was at the top, Knight had a second wind, rushing in and sending Grimes crashing into the ladder to secure the win. Only a 6.5 out of 10. It was a 7 out of 10 match. It's just that I wasn't really a fan of the results. Only a 6 out of 10, I think. Up, it was Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon. The women's champion was brutalised early by the challengers. Ember Moon used speed and delivering a series of strikes. However, a flying crossbody failed and Raquel Gonzalez knocked her out of the air. Moon countered the powerbomb, but Dakota Kai's distraction allowed Gonzalez to send Moon into the barricade. Gonzalez kept the pace slow, hammering Moon with heavy blows and tossing her around the ring. She countered the diving code breaking and hitting a hellacious one-armed sidewalk slam. She then followed that up with a corkscrew press. Moon managed to level Gonzalez surprisingly with a super kick and strong right forearm. Gonzalez was planted with the code red and just barely managed to kick out. Moon set up to a modified STF before Dakota Kai shoved the ropes towards Gonzalez, making the save. Dakota Kai was then again paying dividends. Gonzalez went for a stalling suplex, but Moon countered with a version of the Eclipse. The second Eclipse connected, but Kai once again placed the ropes in the right place before Moon took Gonzalez to the ramp and hit a Diana DDT, but cost herself precious time. Gonzalez kicked out and caught Moon's Eclipse. After lawn darting Moon to the turnbuckle, she hit the powerbomb for the win. Following the match, we saw Kai, Moon, Gonzalez and Blackheart fighting in the back just as Johnny Gargano came out for the main event. Only with a 7 out of 10, really solid match and definitely the right result. Next up, it was the Fatal 5-Way for the NXT Championship. The NXT Champion watched on as his opponents paired off with another. Kyle O'Reilly took Adam Cole to the floor as Pete Dunne dropped Johnny Gargano in the ring. Pete Dunne's prize, of course, carrying Cross. Cross dumped Dunne on his head with an explosive suplex while Kyle O'Reilly was watching. Both men traded strikes with Cross seemingly getting the better of it before, however, O'Reilly caught Cross with a heel hook. It was too early for that to happen as Cross stood up and German suplex O'Reilly to the floor. Johnny Gargano was next to take on the champion and he was the first to take Cross off his feet, bringing him down with a chop block and a Hurricane Rana. Cross caught him diving into the corner and launched him overhead with another exploder. Adam Cole didn't give Cross much time to recover, catching the big man with a knee. Pete Dunne then pulled Cross into the apron with Cross the other three challengers tearing Cole apart. Cross pulled him up and battered him early on before Cross with a one-man wrecking crew in control. O'Reilly managed to be the first to take the NXT champion down once again, using his Muay Thai background to do so. O'Reilly locked Adam Cole in the armbar, but Pete Dunne refused to let him cinch in completely. Gargano tried to break it up and Dunne managed to catch both he and O'Reilly in a double armbar. Cross broke it up, slamming Dunne onto his challengers, calling out Adam Cole, said Cross. At this point, Cross was taken out by Cole and Gargano and Dunne. The three left were Cole and O'Reilly. Cole then missed the Panama Sunrise, but Gargano caught both men with a pair of Vincularies. Gargano put O'Reilly in the corner with Cole. Gargano kicked out and launched NXT's Bruiserweight into his two opponents. All four men traded elbows and kicks, leaving them all down in the mat. Before Kyle O'Reilly was reinvigorated, but he was tossed into the barricade by Cross. Inside the ring, Cross tossed Gargano up with an F10, but Gargano kicked out. Johnny Takeover spilled Cross with a DDT and hit O'Reilly. Gargano was hit by a few kicks, however, but ducks for the last shot. The slingshot spear was cut off by a super kick. Gargano denied a Panama Sunrise, hitting a sunset driver for a near fall. Gargano and Cole eliminated Dunne with a super kick, with all four men in their respective corners. Karrion Kross ran into addition damage. The champions laid him out before Kross dumped O'Reilly, Cole and Gargano with a series of German suplex. Dunn landed on his feet and they ganged up on Kross again, moving him out of the feet ring for the first time. It was a ring full of challengers when NXT returned. The former NXT champion was in control and took O'Reilly down before Gargano spiked Cole with one final beat and then locked in his submission before Kross chased down inside, hitting a German suplex. The bitter end connected, but Kross kicked out. A tangible choke was locked in as Dunn battered Kross. Kross immediately hit a double Doomsday Saito. However, Cole hit a last shot. Eventually, though, Kross reached over, cinching in the Kross jacket on Kyle O'Reilly as he was the only person left in the ring to get the win. 7 out of 10. This was a brilliant match with the right result. Just really happy with it overall. Overall, 2021 NXT Takeover in Your House gets a 7 out of 10 from me. On the whole, it was a really, really solid show. But we did get the heartbreaking news after the show that William Regal is considering no longer being NXT General Manager. War Games will never be the same. But as for the show itself, it gets a 7 out of 10 for me. Pretty solid. But anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. So like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts, comments down below, and follow on Twitter, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, and subscribe to my channel on screen right now. That would be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.